And see, this is where things get bad. This is how it begins. Little boys in swimming pools and backyards. Couldn't tell you if we had sunscreen on, probably. When I was a kid, my dad would call me a hypochondriac.
And his dad's jokes were actually more like a career prediction, because today, David is the editor of Chicago Health Magazine.
When I started writing for the magazine and learning about things, it got worse. That's the way I think now with everything. So it's sort of a blessing and a curse, I think.
But despite his long-time preoccupation with health, David says he wasn't in a rush to have a doctor look at that little red bump on his face.
It's the best picture I could find of me with the little red mark. You can't even see it. We had to blow it up. And I thought, oh, I should probably go see the dermatologist. And then I thought about that for a while and just kind of sat on it. And then I finally made an appointment to go get the full body check. She got to my face and said, what is this we have here? How long has that been there, talking about the red mark? And she said, well, it looks like basal cell carcinoma. I said, what's basal cell carcinoma? She said, it's the best kind of cancer you can get. Okay.
So basal cell carcinoma is the most common type of skin cancer that we see by far. We diagnose over 3 million of them annually here in the United States, and a lot of patients will have more than one. So risk factors for a basal cell carcinoma are chronic sun exposure, so those sun-exposed areas, so face, ears, hands, upper back, but a lot of times patients say it's a pimple that won't heal. The basal cell carcinoma is very slow growing, and only in the rarest of rare circumstances does it spread to other parts of the body, or what we call metastasize. So treatment really is surgical for most patients.
And when it came time for David's surgery, it turns out there was more, much more to David's cancer than met the eye.
On the surface, it was just a little bit, a little mark. Underneath, it had these tendrils that were spreading out and digging their way through my face, which is gross.
When we do these surgeries to treat these, we're looking for what we call clear margins, meaning there isn't any cancer at the edges of what you've cut out. So some of these basal cell carcinomas will have that top component, so that little bump or that little scaly spot on the surface, and then when we start looking and going for those clear margins, we'll see little strands that are just kind of underneath the surface. We show patients pictures after we've removed the skin cancer, and it can be alarming and dramatic, and quite frankly, it can be a little bit scary.
And I cursed and like shot. I mean, it wasn't like I did not expect to see that. There was a hole in my face slightly larger than a quarter.
So for all of his time spent telling other people's health stories, David decided to share his own, writing an article detailing his diagnosis and surgery.
So this is the night after the reconstruction surgery. When people found out that I had skin cancer, many of them thought that it was the mole, and you'd think that it would be, not this other sneaky thing over on the other side of the face. That's what made me think, like, my God, people need to know about this, because I had no idea, and I'm pretty informed. My other big concern was, what next? Was this just the first cancer?
So I have a lot of patients that say, I'm paranoid about this, or I don't want to be a hypochondriac, but I say, I don't like those words, because you know your skin. Right? So you see your skin every single day. And if there's something changing or there's something that doesn't look right, that's something that I'm concerned about.
So I keep it at the ready.
A year after his surgery, David is still an avid sunscreen wearer and takes prevention seriously. And he says you should too. Why?
You'll have a hole in your face that's this big and not one that's this big, or one where you have to have your face completely reconstructed, which has happened.